What up, everybody? I'm Dave Miranda, and this is episode 72 of Just Give Me 5. Hope you guys are doing great, continue to be amazing. We got another awesome show lined up for you today. But if you see the hat I'm wearing here, the Suns are in the playoffs. And if you're a Suns fan like myself, you're hoping they don't blow it. But it's looking pretty good right now. Shout out to my pops. He's actually got me this hat in California a couple years ago. So, man. But if you guys caught episode 71, you saw we had none other than my man DJ Soulman. And let me tell you, that was an honor. Because the Funk Junkies are a huge part of Arizona hip-hop history. Basically one of the first hip-hop groups in Phoenix, period. And to see Soulman still doing his thing, progressing, making moves, having his own company, hearing his story. I mean, it was a real treat, man. You know, and this is the place to be. This is the place to do it. So I'm so happy that we were able to have him on the show. Shout out to you, my brother. And make sure you guys watch episode 71. All right. But today's guest is another Arizona house music legend. We are going to talk about his early days. We're going to talk about how he came up with his name. We're going to talk about the creation of Solstice and so much more. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you DJ Senbad.
Hey everybody, this is DJ Senbad with an E. And all I'm saying is, just give me 5. Who is DJ Senbad? Friend, father, husband, DJ, snobby music enthusiast, keep it real artist, a too much too artist. That's me too. I'm always on the too much tip. I'll do for much. So that's what we used to say back in the day, which was a Wednesday. I love house music. I love jazz, techno. I even like hip hop. Just kidding. Don't want to offend anybody. I like hip hop. Just, you know, not today's hip hop. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I own a couple of nightclubs here in Phoenix, Arizona. And other than that, I mean, that's me. I got into DJing really the first time I saw the Herbie Hancock Rocket video when I was a teenager. Unfortunately, back then, you know, it's 1984, 85. The internet's not a thing. It's hard to find certain things like, how do you find a turntable? I lived with my grandparents. I had no idea how to get a turntable, a mixer. Didn't know what would happen to a record if I pulled it back and forth to make that sound I heard on the Rocket video. Right. But I knew that I had to do that. So I went about my business of ruining some of my grandparents' records and cutting out pieces of wax paper to make slip mats. I didn't even know that they were called slip mats at the time. Right. Didn't have a mixer, so I used to take Y cables and put turntables together into one input on the home stereo and play music together that made no sense and sounded completely insane because there was no pitch control, nothing. But, you know, I was just experimenting and wanted to make sounds and express myself musically with music that I was into. Now I'm a complete DJ snob. I'm super critical of all of your favorite DJs. And I'm even more critical of the ones that are coming up and don't have anybody watching out for them. And truthfully, you know, part of that is when I started DJing, there was a system of gatekeepers. You know, you had to get your chops up. You had to carry records for older DJs. You had to get your own equipment for real and learn how to do things for real. Things aren't like that these days. It's more, you know, everybody wants to have a sense of fairness and everybody should have an opportunity and everybody should do everything. Right. You know, and as it happens, everybody does. And a lot of those people ruin people's evenings. So, right. You know, my problem with that is any DJ you go see is only as good as the last DJ that you heard. That's true, man. And, you know, if myself being talented, and coming through a proper system of gatekeepers and getting my chops up and learning everything the right way, I need somebody to pay me, but people might not want to pay me because the last DJ they heard bought a controller 2 weeks ago and, you know, some bottom line thinking club owner, which there are many of, paid that dude $50 because he needed music, not realizing that it was going to impact every other DJ on the planet with his terribleness.
Right.
Sorry, I don't want to rant about DJ stuff, but I mean, you want to know who I am? I'm a stickler for real DJing, and you know, I'm not against the technology. It's not that. I'm against the lack of gatekeepers,
Yep.
and there's just not enough mentorship, and vastly, you know, my generation is partly responsible for that because we haven't been seeking out young people for proteges. We haven't been mentoring to the level that we should. And, you know, now we're left with the results of it. So, you know, we have to take ownership of that ourselves. I got into house music. Well, I went to a DJ battle to see Robbie Rob.
Okay.
DJ with Fashion, Z-Trip. I'm not sure if Tricky T was in that one yet or not, or if he was in the next one. It's called Vinyl Infiltration. And at the time, my friend and I, Chris, we were fed up with Arizona women. And we had decided we were going to move to the East Coast and find some women who'd been through something, been through some struggles, and had a little bit more grit and a little bit more reality.
Okay.
As it happens, I sat next to a girl from Boston at this DJ battle, right?
Yeah.
And we hit it off really big. And she gave me this mixtape called No Love Lost. It was like No Love Lost Volume 11 by this DJ named Mikey from some obscure part of Boston, right?
Okay. Okay.
And man, I played that tape, you know, literally till the wheels came off of it. And I was completely hooked.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I wound up moving to Boston to explore the East Coast, and she was going back. So, you know, I went back there and discovered DJs Bruno and Fran at a little underground place in Cambridge called Paradise. It was literally underground. Best house music you ever heard. And there wasn't really anything like that in Phoenix. Pete was doing his thing, but it was a slightly different version of house music at the time.
Okay.
What Pete and Eddie were doing with Chupa was a little bit different than what I was hearing in the East Coast.
Because the East Coast house music and West Coast is way different.
Yeah, it's a little different.
You know,
yeah.
East Coast is more like the Jungle Brothers.
Yeah, more.
West Coast is like, you know, you had Richard Humpty Vision,
Right.
Boy Bill. Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It was that different beats per minute,
Right.
different style, a little bit more organic out there.
Yeah.
And I was determined to bring that sound back to Arizona when I moved back.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I moved back. When I moved back from Boston, I brought back a bag of records. I came here, I bought some turntables and a mixer and went about my business of learning how to really DJ the right way. And from there, it's just kind of history. I, you know, started doing events and bringing that sound to the forefront of house music in Arizona, you know. And then that same girl, she was on campus at ASU, and Pete gave her a flyer for Red Monkey. Anybody, if you don't know, I'm talking about Pete Supermix Salas. He's my partner in crime for.
Yeah, we had him on.
Man, I know he already did an episode, and we've been doing events together since the late '90s. So she got a flyer for Red Monkey at what used to be the River Bottom Lounge, and we went there together. And I met Pete. I introduced myself to him. He was playing a record that I liked. Turned out he was the house music buyer for the record store here, the main record store, Swell Records. Yeah. So I ordered the record from him. I went to Swell, bought the record, started meeting all the other electronic music DJs and underground folks that threw underground events. And, you know, eventually I used to hate to record. Kind of like this, like talking about yourself is weird. Making mixtapes as a DJ sometimes is kind of weird too. That little red light on the tape machine makes things really strange.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I used to hate the little red light. So the best thing I could do, because I knew I could play live, I had some promoters I was working with hire Pete.
Okay.
I was like, hire Pete to come do a guest spot,
Yeah.
you know, but my plan was, you know, I'm going to play in front of Pete live so he knows I could DJ. And then eventually I'll get on a Red Monkey someday, and then maybe I can make something of myself.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So Pete came, he heard me, he hired me. I went and did Red Monkey. He dubbed me a Red Monkey All-Star. I ran with that title in the ball until,
What year was this?
oh man, that was probably 90.
Timeline together. That's
Yeah, that's probably late 98, early 99.
Okay.
Then you know, I supported him doing Red Monkey events, promoting. I was already promoting clubs, promoting hip hop events. I used to promote the Flavor Shop with the people that Z-Trip worked with at the Cage back in the day. So I'd already gone about my business of networking with club owners, meeting all the right people in the scene. So when it was time for me to start DJing, it wasn't that big of a stretch that I was going to be talking to the same types of people, you know. I managed to infiltrate the Scottsdale scene with good underground music to the point to where I was, at peak, I was doing 9 gigs a week.
Wow.
Playing like legit house music all over Scottsdale, sometimes in Tempe. And by then, you know, now it's late 90s, early 2000s, and Pete and I have started our first signature event together, which was called Batucada. And we did Batucada for 6 years before we started Solstice. So, and truth be told, Solstice is kind of like Batucada on a rooftop. That's, you know, like we shifted the music slightly from as much Latin and disco as that we started with to just more straight deep house. But other than that, you know, the moving parts are the same, and they have been since the 90s. Me and Pete doing our thing, putting out good music, putting out good shows, you know, nonstop for however many years it's been, you know, yeah. Well, coming out of Batucada, we had moved Batucada from Wednesdays to Saturdays, and we were DJing at the club that is now Monarch. It used to be called Burn.
Correct.
It was a gay club called Burn, and we were doing our thing there. And a friend of mine was preparing to open Bar Smith with its original owner, Bill Smith, and she came over and was like, hey, you know, we're going to start needing DJs. Do you want to come talk to the owner? So I went next door and talked to the owner and came back basically, you know, on my DJ break while Pete was playing. I was like, hey, we got a new gig starting on Saturdays.
Okay.
Right. So that was like the first Saturday Bar Smith had opened in April of 2007, first or second Saturday of the month. And we started our new night. Now, obviously, it didn't have a name yet. We wanted to build a team.
Yeah.
So we had this big chalkboard. We knew we could do live chalk art, which is a major part of Solstice, the live chalk art performance piece. So we reached out to Bear and Gordon from the Alpha Monster crew.
Okay.
And our other partner in crime that used to help us promote things, Whitney Fitzpatrick, who was the marketing director over at the New Times at the time. So we built a little team of the 4 of us to do the rooftop at Bar Smith. And it was actually the 4 of us that came together and decided on the name Solstice. There was a group called Solstice.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, there was a group called Solstice. I mean, they may still be a group, but they had made some really good deep house records. And, you know, I mentioned that as one of the possible names. We didn't spell it the same way they did. We spelled it like the regular way. They put the U in it because, you know, they were being soulful. They're out of San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a brother, sister, and another guy.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, Gabriel and Gina Renee, and I forget the name of the other guy that was like their DJ. Yeah. But yeah, so we came up with Solstice, started promoting it, and, you know, 15 years and 2 weeks later, Solstice is still happening every Saturday, right, on top of the roof at Bar Smith. Yeah, it's an unbelievable thing. Had COVID not happened when COVID happened, and I don't want to beating on the COVID horse, but if COVID doesn't happen when COVID happens, we actually have, in the summer that COVID hit, we would have had more editions of Solstice than there were episodes of The Simpsons, which was like, people can't really get their head around how many episodes of something we've done. But when you put it in terms of, we've done Solstice more times than there are episodes of The Simpsons, then people are like, oh, that's a lot of times. You've done a lot, you know? And club nights don't really survive at venues in that way. Even Batucada was fantastic, but we were at 4 different venues during its time, maybe 5, you know? So, and that was a 6-year run that we were in 4 or 5 different clubs. So to have one event stay in the same location with the same core team of promoters, the same core DJs for 15 years is just fundamentally unheard of. Like industry-wide, nationwide, it just doesn't happen. You know, we have definitely achieved something that is remarkable and known, like well known outside of our city. You know, all the DJs, all the promoters around the country and other countries, they want to come do Solstice. They know what we do. You know, they want to come to Phoenix and DJ. They hear how great the weather is here, and they want to escape whatever it is that they're doing in Chicago or New York, or, you know, they come here. So. Three memorable moments. Man, that's really hard, bro. I'm gonna say like the first one, the first real memorable moment obviously was being at that DJ battle and meeting someone who would, you know, be with me for a season but set my life up for a lifetime. You know, so that Vinyl Infiltration battle was a really big deal in me actually becoming an actual DJ. And not just something that I had aspired to do since I was a teenager, you know. Moment number two, DJing in the police helicopter spotlight on Camelback Mountain at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night.
What?
Oh yeah. So we did a party the night that Sanctuary opened, before it was,
In Scottsdale, right?
yeah, before Sanctuary. They had closed. The guys that Bobby Gahi and Sean Yari and all those guys that like own everything. Those guys, they're great guys despite being rich.
Right.
And they opened Sanctuary, and we decided to have an after party at my friend's house on Camelback because his dad was out of town.
Okay.
So we have an after party at this mansion on Camelback that turns into the most epic event most people had ever been to that were at it.
Nice.
Right? I mean, we're talking about Sammy the Bull showing up and an entire pool table being covered in ecstasy pills. Right? Wow. We're talking about people doing things and partying in ways that just don't happen in this generation.
Right.
Right? And we're talking about me being out by a pool at 2 a.m, set up on a dining room table, DJing in the police helicopter spotlight while they're trying to shut this party down, and me flipping them off and telling them to go away. Like, I wasn't going to turn it. I wasn't going to stop nothing. You know, as it happens, the 40 police that raided the party, they put a stop to everything.
Right.
So I dipped, everyone dipped. There was an actual like full-fledged taxi stand had developed out on the street because of how many people came in cabs to the party.
Right.
And, you know, the next morning, I like to refer to it as Carmageddon, because all the fine people of Camelback Mountain were out walking their dogs and jogging and getting their exercise on. I was showing back up at 7 a.m. when I heard it was all clear and the police were gone to come get my equipment.
Right.
But there were cars parked everywhere on the mountain. And all of these people that lived there were like, what happened? Just like they were walking around, jogging around, just completely in shock.
And you look like the enemy because you're picking up your equipment.
Yeah, I'm coming in, I'm driving by, I'm like waving good morning, grabbing my turntables. Like, that's right, we destroyed Camelback Mountain last night.
We did this.
It's Thursday morning. Why wouldn't we have a party till 4 a.m. with you know, huge drug lords and all the other people in Arizona that would be out? Like, it was realistically like 500 people.
Wow. Yeah,
doing an after hours party on a Wednesday night. People do not party like that anymore. No. They really don't. Third, man, third's hard. You know, probably the first time I played with Little Louis Vega at the Ice House was a big deal. I mean,
nice.
That dude is the icon of all icons as far as house music is concerned. Him and his partner, Kenny Dope, Masters at Work. Louis would eventually become a great friend and mentor to me in the industry, and meeting with him opened countless doors. You know, our relationship is extremely special to me, you know. And then seeing, like, you know, my name in the acknowledgments on his Grammy-nominated album, you know, you see things like that, and like you realize that like you've actually made an impact in these people's lives. You know, he didn't have to list me or Pete for that matter, as you know, being acknowledged in his album at all, you know, but he feels a connection to the part that we've done in his career and the support that we've given to him and his sound. And, you know, we have a place in the history of global house music, you know, that we've carved out for ourselves here in Phoenix. And that I didn't know. I just got a random congratulations on Louis' album. I was like, well, why are you congratulating me on Louis' album? Right? I had no idea. And then I flew to New York for one of the album release parties and I picked up an actual copy of it because buying music is important.
Exactly. Speak on it.
Really, really important to buy music, not just stream it. Own it. Own your music. Have something tangible to hold and to look at. Anyways, yeah, so I was reading through the acknowledgments and then I came across my name and I was like, oh, this is why people are congratulating me on Louis' album, because I'm on the acknowledgments. Right. You know? Okay, cool. That's great. No, it was super great. Yeah, super honored. I mean, I'm honored to be considered special. I'm not going to shy away from that. Like, I know that I'm not like everybody else.
There you go.
Okay, I know that for a fact. I have a different mentality. I take a different approach to life. I really live way outside of everybody else's norms and their boxes. So being special, it's great to be special, you know, and everybody is special in their own way, for sure, you know, but some people's special translates into a gift that they can share with thousands and hundreds of others, and I'm happy that I've been able to do that. And as far as being loved, like, I mean, that's, you know, I'm grateful to be loved. I have a huge heart. I love a lot of people. I'll support anybody who, I mean, if you ask me for anything, you're gonna get it, most likely. I'm not really one to turn people down or say no. I'll find a way to help you. You know, and in regards to like the COVID thing, you know, a lot of people, let's face it, we've been DJing for the same people for 20 something years, you know. Right. A lot of those people don't want to pay cover anymore, you know. And you know, that becomes like a grind. Sometimes you're like, man, I wish they would just pay cover. They'll pay to go bowling, they'll pay this, they'll pay that. But when push came to shove and I needed groceries for my family during COVID, and we were doing our live stream on Twitch, we were getting donations from those same people who used to not want to pay cover, but they appreciated being able to connect with us and escape what was going on for those 5 or 6 hours. And in turn, you know, they would shoot over some cash apps and enough to get by, you know, because I wasn't one for, you know, trying to get a lot of loans. I didn't want to go a lot in debt. I wanted to figure out a way to get through COVID with the venues to where I wasn't buried in debt. We still took on a lot, but not what other people did. And I didn't want to take advantage of the system either, because at the same time, like, I'm trying to make my way. I'm not trying to have anybody, you know, take care of us. So I'm super grateful for our supporters. They literally fed my kids. Cool. Shout out to my partner in crime, Pete Supermix Salas, my Solstice originators, Baron Gordon, Whitney Fitzpatrick, my greatest protege accomplishment ever, Benjamin Rosen, AKA Cutswell. You can see him playing in Scottsdale. He's probably the better of the Scottsdale DJs in my opinion. And big shout out to my homie Robbie Rob, who I eat with every day. Ramsey's Jaw, who I eat with every day. Yeah. Matlocks, who I eat with as often as possible. We have a lot of great conversations, a lot of great lunches. You know, I've got a bunch of epic friends that do epic shit, like my man Dave here. And I just want to thank you for giving me 5.
And there you have it. Man, shout out to my man Senbad. You know, this was dope. You know, I've known Senbad for a real long time. He's done so much in the scene. It was awesome to hear his story. I'm glad he came over, chopped it up with the Just Give Me 5 crew. Make sure you guys are following him on social media. Shout out to my brother Jimmy Nelson on the camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right. Well, this was another one for the books. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. And till next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy, and just give me 5, y'all.
Everything you